We are gathered here this afternoon in reverence and reflection, marking 350 years since the Gurgadi of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, a moment that reshaped Sikh thought, identity, leadership, and collective responsibility. Thank you for joining us. Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, Life, Vision and Wisdom, featuring author and educator Harinder Singh. But this evening is not only about history, it is an invitation to engage with living wisdom, wisdom that continues to speak to courage, justice, creativity, and sovereignty of spirit. We'll begin the conversation around the book, followed by an audience Q&A. This is a rare opportunity to engage with two thoughtful voices, so feel free to make notes and ask questions later. It is now my honor to introduce Harinder Singh. In moments of significance related to Sikhs, the Punjab, and the question of history, identity, and sovereignty, Harinder Singh is often the voice institutions, the media, and communities turn to for clarity, context, and a principled perspective. A scholar, educator, and a public intellectual, Harinder Singh is the co-founder of the Sikh Research Institute and the Punjab Digital Library, institutions that have fundamentally expanded access to Sikh knowledge and historical archives worldwide. He is the author of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, Life, Vision and Wisdom, the book that anchors our gathering here today, as well as several other influential works with which many in this room will already be familiar. Trained originally in aerospace engineering and engineering management, and later in Sikh and Persian studies, Harinder Singh brings a rare interdisciplinary depth to his work, bridging analytical rigor with spiritual inquiry. Whether addressing universities, policymakers, or global audiences, he is known for weaving scholarship, storytelling, and ethical clarity, grounded in what he often describes as the one force, the oneness that radiates through all. Joining Harinder Singh in conversation today is Yogi Suri. Yogi Suri is the founder of Milap Publications, one of India's most respected independent publishing houses, with a legacy spanning nearly a century. Under his leadership, Milap has expanded thoughtfully across print, digital, and emerging media, while maintaining a strong commitment to literary quality and editorial integrity. He has also served for many years as joint editor of the Daily Milap, one of India's oldest and most influential Urdu and Hindi newspapers, and is widely consulted in the publishing world for his forward-looking approach. At heart, he understands books not merely as objects, but as living vessels of imagination, memory, and meaning, making him a thoughtful interlocutor for today's conversation. It's a privilege to bring these two voices. Please do go ahead.
Thank you, Shubhani. Thank you everyone for being here this evening. We are starting a conversation. I just wanted to tell you that there's some books that are written with the mind. There's some books that are written by the heart. But then there's some books that are written right at the feet of the Guru. So this book today comes to us like a prayer. It comes quietly, and all it asks us that you sit with it in stillness and reflect. And I hope that reflection causes each one of us to know the Guru a little better and walk a little closer on the path that he guides us on. Harinderji, thank you very much for being here today. You know, to me, when I went through the book, at its core, the book felt more like an offering than an academic work. As you go through the book, there's more listening than reading. I'm telling you this because everyone here, when you go through the book, you'll find it is more listening than reading. And so what I want to ask you is that if you had to describe the heart and the spirit of the book in a feeling, what would you say?
Well, first of all, thank you everyone for joining us, and thanks Shivani. Yogi ji, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ, feelings have to do with emotions. And even when I initially thought how to talk about Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, I picked 10 shabads, and 9 of those shabads are in rag. And in Indology, Hindustani classical music, rag is actually not about techniques. That's the one who's performing has to know. It is all about which ras or sentiment it's going to bring out. So for me, the sentiment, even through those compositions which otherwise starting in Ramkali and going to Dev Gandhari, and in between there is one Kayal also. The sentiment I want to bring out was public at large, what in Hindustani parampara we call sangat, sang and gati. So this is where I'm going to start. I like to start with words. Sang is where you come together, and gati is the movement where you come together to move somewhere. So the emotion which I wanted, the ras or the sentiment which I wanted was to be in the awe of the Guru, because as a child I was in the awe of Guru Gobind Singh. So you start out as a hero. Guru Gobind Singh was a hero. And at some point in my life, that through my journey of religions, he became much more than a hero. He became a model. In modalities, as we study in psychology, you're looking at behaviors. And then at some point it became a study, a guru. Guru otherwise is a title, but Guru stands for wisdom at the end of the day. The one who's going to bring enlightenment in the darkness. We are in the age of darkness. So the emotion was that the sentiment Guru Gobind Singh brings in the collective memory of South Asia, I wanted to use that sentiment, which even Bollywood uses when they sing the Shabad Mittar Pyare No. I wanted to invoke that memory of that to my beloved friend, to actually know what Guru Gobind Singh did as a very human personality on this earth. And that's the connection I want to bring. The thought of the Guru, the contribution, and ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ announcement ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ introduction ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. I didn't realize this. ਤੁਹਾਡੀ publication ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਵੀ ਮਿਲਾਪ ਆ.
ਜੀ.
And when the sentiment again going back, the Sabad Hajare Bani I picked, Hajare is not Hazare, it's Hijr. And Hijr is separation. The reason I picked was we are in separation, we are trying to end our separation. So it's very coincidental, maybe it's not coincident that the publication is coming through Milap.
What beautiful sentiment, Jane. And that really sets the tone for everything. But also, I think this being such a long research you did, what drove you to write this book?
We Sikhs and non-Sikhs alike have reduced Guru Gobind Singh to 2 or 3 bullets. And I wanted to take those 2 or 3 bullets, these executive summaries which chat GPTs do for you now. Earlier someone else would do it. And I wanted to say ki ode piche ki hai. So what drove me was we don't know Guru Gobind Singh. We fixate Guru Gobind Singh. We, based on the politics of India or Punjab, spinning Guru Gobind Singh. And I wanted to go back to what did Guru Gobind Singh himself say as to what he is, the primary source. And then those who witnessed him and those who documented that, the secondary sources, his own court poets, they are the ones we need to rely on to tell us who Guru Gobind Singh is. So what drove me was this a battle of narratives. It's always been, bayan kaun kar reha te kyon kar reha. And I wanted us to know, and I wanted to know who, more than who, what is Guru Gobind Singh?
But the Guru is such a vast subject. So when you came to actually there's going to be a limited number of pages that you can put in a book. So how did you decide that, this is what I should include, this is what I should leave out? Because this is, sagar hai ki there's no limit.
So, absolutely. So I in fact had only picked 10 Shabads. And why Shabad? Which in the Braj was Sabad, because the Shah sound doesn't exist. So अगर कोई नहीं बोल रहा है ना शब्द, it's not that they're illiterate. Actual word was sabad. Sabda tradition, as they call it in English now. So sabad is all about words and sounds. I wanted to play with the sound as the sentiment part, and the word, this is the left brain, right brain business. So I want to bring that integration of that. The whole of the Sikh tradition is about Shabad. When Guru Nanak was asked, who's your Guru? He said Shabad. And I wanted to continue with that. And Guru Gobind Singh Shabad, pick 10 of them. Because one of the things I also want to mention, if we don't understand this thing, that what is most important in Sikh tradition, which is Shabad, we will create a linear view of history. In linear history, you start when somebody is born, when somebody leaves this earth, when they die. That's not a historical tradition among Sikhs. And this is very important why I didn't go that route. So this is not a chronological book, that's why.
Correct.
And because chronology is, even I looked at the Sikh sources, even when they wrote early history, they didn't write like that.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. In 238 years of the Guru's experience in 10 forms on this earth, none of them either wrote or commissioned what we now call the linear form of history.
Oh, that's very interesting to know.
So it is all about wisdom, not the trivial knowledges or the biographical knowledges. It is in the context you come. In that context, you have separations. I'm coming back to that Hijr idea. And then what is the wisdom which is going to end the separation? Separation within me, separation with people, separation in communities and families, in religions and politics, what we now call isms and ologies, right? So this is why the selection to me had to be from Shabad. And then the context to provide that came from secondary sources.
Oh, how beautiful. And you can sense it in the book. I mean, I had the privilege of reading the book before you, but you can sense it in the book. And it is so deep. I mean, I'll come to that in my conversation with Harinder ji in a short bit. But, when as a publisher, for me, the biggest thing about the book is that it transcends all labels. It's not just a coffee table book. It's not just a beautifully researched book. It is a very rare confluence of both, where some amazing artwork is working in harmony with some really in-depth research. Normally in coffee table books, the artwork is just decorating the place. Here, the artwork is talking, it's conversing with the text. They're balanced beautifully. I mean, when you open the book, you'll realize that with every set or with every chapter that you go through, there's artwork to rest your eyes, to give it relief. It's meticulously researched, amazingly well done. So, Harinder ji, after that, my question really to you is that for such a beautifully researched, wonderfully written book, why is your name not on the cover as the author of the book?
Because it is not my work, it's Guru Gobind Singh's work. And when you open it up, inside page, there's a signature of Guru Gobind Singh on it. I am just retelling some of the things in contemporary parlance, hopefully making it relevant to not just South Asians, but the globe is going through these transcending of polarities,
Yes.
as you invoked already. So that's the reason. It is actually, and plus it's a team. I initiated something which was something within me. मेरे ज़हन में कुछ उठ रहा था. And I read a lot. I had seen many books. And I wanted to offer something which is relevant, but only based on primary and secondary sources. So not the spinning. So that's the reason. Author is Guru Gobind Singh. The other two authors on secondary sources are I. Nandlal Goya and Chandra Sen Senapath. So those are the three people. They are the ones who saw the Guru and the Guru himself. So this is why there was no way I could put my name there. And in fact, there was once it started to take a book form, they put the name. I said, "The bahut vada gunah ho jaga."
It's that humility actually it comes through, and you can see it in every page of the book. I mean, when I read the book, you realize that the book is not coming through from a sense of detachment or rather a sense of attachment, like you're often talking or writing towards the Guru rather than about him. So
If I may on that, so translation is a funny business. These are very tight compositions. In fact, I hesitate to call them translations. They ended up calling it translation. I'll tell you why. Because wisdom ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ translate. ਉਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ contextualize ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ. So that's another thing we have to understand, that there's a politics of translation, which I'm very aware of. And so then commentaries were written for that. So what I did in commentaries, I took a little bit of a liberty, and all I said is, this is what Guru Gobind Singh is saying to me at this point in my life. This is the message to me. And if it resonates with others, great. Because in translation, you can't do that. As much as I said, there's a limitation to translation.
And also when you go through the book, there's no physical image of the Guru, and yet Guru Gobind Singh Ji is there on every page, through the writing, the words, the artwork, the silence between the words and the artwork. I mean, so can you share with us how you achieved this?
This was achieved with a great team. I only had one guideline when we started this, and a young woman's name is Kiran Kaur, and it was during COVID, so this has been a very long project. I believe some of these things you can put a deadline, and it turns out that it actually finished on the Gurgaddi anniversary of Guru Gobind Singh. So something is happening with that as well. So the way it was done was, the only guideline I said was no physical image of the Guru, because they're all imaginary. Manokalpit ne sariyan. So we can debate if one of them is accurate on YouTube's and TikTok. Mainu bhi aande rehande, kal bhi kaya. Harinder ji, is this real? So, hun tusi ki kahoge. What all I'm trying to say is, the image of the Guru in the Shabad. In Guru Granth Sahib, the litmus test comes. Gur ki Moorat man mein dhyan. And those Shabads talk about dhyan. How do you bring wisdom within the mind? So, we believe there are images, portraits like it, but there are idols in our mind. And Guru Gobind Singh in Zafarnama has written that I am among the idol worshippers and I am breaking the idol. But Guru Gobind Singh broke not a single physical idol. He's breaking idols here. ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਮਝਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਸਫਰਨਾਮੇ 'ਚ। ਬੁੱਤ ਸ਼ਿਕੰਦ ਵਰਡ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਬੁੱਤ ਪੂਜਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠਾ, which means people worship different idols, but I am the one breaking. But so he's not breaking physical idols. There's no incident. He's breaking idols here. So that was one of the challenge. In the art world, I have a privilege to talk with some very serious and world-renowned artists, and I do discuss these things with them. ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਯਾਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਬਗੈਰ ਬੜੇ ਬਗੈਰ you haven't read the Shabads, how can you create an image of the Guru? So we are borrowing Guru's image from some Western traditions, Semitic traditions, or Indic traditions, which, by the way, are very powerful traditions. I'm not putting them down. But that's not Guru. Guru is in the Shabad. So that was the challenge, and the challenge was, I believe, met to the large extent.
Oh, very beautifully so. Very beautifully so. I mean, it is... the artwork moves you through the book. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. The confluence between the writing and the artwork is at an incredible level. And also, you write and you suggest that you can't understand the Guru without love, without loving him. So how has love shaped the way you interpreted the Shabad and the Guru?
There's a phrase in Guru Gobind Sahib which repeats often, Pao Bhagat. It's actually not just love, it's devotional love. So devotional love has zero complaints. It is patient, it's in longing, it's very painful, but it still doesn't complain. So part of me wanted to bring that out. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ 'ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ let it cook. So ਥੋੜਾ allow ਕਰੋ ਨਾ, it's a painful process, but ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਸ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਆ ਇੰਨੀ ਛੋਟੀ ਥੋੜੀ ਬੁੱਝ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. And so it started there. And then when I looked at, one of the most famous lines of Guru Gobind Singh, which Shabad I didn't cover here because of the space. I mean, his very famous saying is, Jin prem kiyo tin hi prabh payo. And I often quote this line, kiyo is an active verb. It doesn't say jin prem filo. Feel ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ. So active verbs, and love is an active work. ਹੁਣ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ devotional love ਜਦ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ. Otherwise, Guru Gobind Singh himself has written, ਕੂਰ ਕਿਰਿਆ ਔਰ ਜਿਉ ਸਭ ਹੀ ਜਗ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਭਗਵਾਨ ਕੋ ਭੇਦ ਨਾ ਪਾਇਓ. See, his language is for the Ganges Valley civilization. Let me also bring that word here. ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ. ਉਹ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਕਰੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ. Because his language is in culture. He's born in Patna. ਉਹ ਕਹ ਰਹੇ ਕੂਰ ਕਿਰਿਆ, ਕੂੜਾ, ਕੂਰ ਕਿਰਿਆ, the trashy. I mean, I like to simplify it, ਥੋੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, but it is much more remarkable. He's like, we are all caught up in trashly behaviors. ਕਿ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭਗਵਾਨ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਭਗਵਾਨ is the fortunate one. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਮਿਸਟਰੀ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ? ਹੁਣ ਮਿਸਟਰੀ is a loving relationship. Mostly it happens between the lover and the beloved. In Guru Gobind Singh's that 10 selection of Shabads, he's talking to his mind about how to end that separation with the beloved. And the most oft repeated Shabad, if I can come back to, which is included, is Mitar Pyare Lo, Hal Muridan Da Kehna. ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਿਆਰਾ is beloved, Mitar is friend. And he's still not saying, and by the way, let me contextualize, this is the Guru which is real, it is very relatable. When that Shabad is written, the context is, he is by himself. ਤੁਸੀਂ imagine ਕਰੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਾਂ, you have a separation from your family. Now you will see how real this is. You have separation from what we call the worldly assets. He's separated at Sarsa. The whole of knowledge was also lost. Vidyasagar Granth. You have separated from your disciples, the Khalsa. He's referring to Khalsa there. Not even his family. Murid. Look at what he's writing. So everything what we may say I have done in my life to develop certain assets at a family level, at a wealth level, at a knowledge level, all of that is gone. ਉਦਣ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਲਿਖ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ. Murids are the ones who are your followers, not just the ones who like you. ਹਾਲ ਮੁਰੀਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ, ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਕੰਡੀਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. So this is the love which is, as today's psychiatrists and psychologists and many others are talking about, this is an act of will. Emotion is fully there, but even then in that crisis, and you can imagine the crisis, ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਡੈਥ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਇੱਕ ਵੀ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਰਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ. ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜੀ, ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕੀ ਕਰੀਏ. ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਕਲੈਰਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਰੀਦ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਕਰ.
ਇਹ ਵਾਕਈ ਜੀ. Since it is about devotional love, did you ever feel that you were guided ਕਿ ए लिखना है या ए इंक्लूड करना है, ए नहीं इंक्लूड करना, या ए लिखना है नहीं करना? Any direction you got?
I mean, and we are in the chat GPT world, so I had to come up with my guardrails. Otherwise, you can end up becoming, Guru Gobind Singh is about in utter crisis. How do you still remain focused and determined and still in complete love with the one? So guardrails are individually chahidiyan. So this is why I decided only primary and secondary text. When anything else which is written is to go towards it, to provide context to it. So those were my guardrails. Otherwise, I would be spinning. And I didn't want to spin. There is an essay written in there where I wrote my perspective. And even there I wrote, I've never seen Guru Gobind Singh.
You mentioned that.
So I want to rely on the ones who saw him even 30 years ago or 100 years ago. And I'm just in a journey where I'm dreaming about him. ਇੱਥੇ ਨਾ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਾਈਨ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਪੜ੍ਹੀਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਿਲੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਅਸਾਂ ਪਾਗਲ ਵਕੜੀ ਪਾਏ। So this is dreaming. ਜਿਹਦਾ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ। So I'm a bit dreaming in there, but at the same time, I wanted Guru to be very, very real.
And this book is it's a integration. So we've got calligraphy, we've got artwork, we've got text, music, lot of research. So why was it important, or why did you feel it was important that the Guru should be interpreted through this multiple format, not just text?
Because different strokes for different folks. कोई म्यूजिक राही समझदा, कोई अकल राही समझ रहा, कोई आर्ट राही समझ रहा, right? So the beauty has to be kept intact. Beauty with capital B, that is. ਸੁੰਦਰ ਸਰੂਪ ਹੋ ਨਾ, ਹੁਣ ਸੁੰਦਰ ਵਰਡ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਲਈ, ਬਟ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਦੀ ਸੁੰਦਰਤਾ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ ਨਾ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ।
ਕਿਹੜਾ ਕਲਰ ਆਊਗਾ ਫਿਜ਼ੀਕਲੀ, ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਇਟਸ ਲਿਮਿਟਿੰਗ, ਬਟ ਯੂ ਸਟਿਲ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਪੁੱਟ ਸਮ ਥਾਟ, ਐਂਡ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਗਾਣਾ ਵੀ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਆ। I looked for somebody ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗਾਵੇ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਗਾਣਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ। I have some understanding of rags. Like Ramkali is invoking the yogic traditions, and this is in Guru Granth Sahib as well. They're all same. So I wanted कि जो yogic tradition ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਰਾਮਕਲੀ ਗਾਵੇ, but anyway I decided कि वो बहुत लंबा हो रहा, so we just picked which was existing, the best existing ones, but I had somebody recite them. In the way in Braj it would have been recited. Somebody who has studied it, his PhD in Rajasthan, who helped me with identifying certain things. So yes, so similarly this is also an art. And why that's important is because at the end of the day, in Guru Granth Sahib, what I have understood is, in fact, let me invoke that here, because this is part of my, where I'm trying to integrate the two things which you have mentioned few times in different words now. When Guru Nanak Sahib describes in Japji Sahib, what is Gurmukh? Gurmukh is the Guru oriented. Gurmukh is not the look. Looks will be different depending on your gurus and your models. And he says, Gurmukh kaun hai? Nadang te Vedang. Gurmukh Nadang, Gurmukh Vedang, Gurmukh Reha Samai. The one, today we call it left brain, right? Nadang is sound. The one who is always immersed in sound. Immersed kabo. Vedang is literary knowledge. Ved happens to be title of 4 Vedas, but Ved is literary knowledge.
Yes.
So literary, which means कि ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਇੱਕ critical analysis ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ emotion ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤੇ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਰਹਿਣਾ. Today we call that symbiotic relationship. So in Sikh model, the one does not exist without the other. So you will see the issue comes in when somebody is being overly critical without having the emotion. And this is what psychology was trying to say with the old 30 years ago we Briggs-Myers test ਵੀ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੱਟਾ ਕਰੋ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ wisdom to become wisdom oriented. And this is why I try to do through this book, through this team, through incredible editor, and many other things are going on here. And then ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੀ really praise ਕਰੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, which I don't deserve at all. Let me mention something about Yogi. You know, I was here a few months ago and I was asked कि proof देख लो book ਦਾ. So ਇਹ ਆਪ ਦੇਣ ਆਏ proof. I want to mention ਕੀ ਫਰਕ ਪੈ ਜਾਂਦਾ, you know. So ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਭੇਜ ਦੇਣਾ ਸੀ, you could have sent anyone. He's like, no, I wanted to talk to you, and although I had met you before, we had never talked about these things.
With them.
And then we had very long the amount of care he has given to this book. I don't think this we could have found. You know, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ printing ਕਰਨੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੌਖਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਇੰਨੀ easy ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. And ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ. So this is how things happen. You know, it's the care. Intellect is half of the story. Emotion and care is the other half of this.
Thank you, Harinder ji. But you know, we all gathered here, and there is a intrigue about the book. So do tell us about the artwork, the symbolism at play, and for me at least, particularly, there's a recurrence of Ek Omkar, or the unity, and it's there in every image. I mean, those of you who open the book and see it, it is there throughout the book.
So those were the discussions with the artist after we talked about each word. And then in break, we were sipping our lattes. There were a couple of coffee shops open in San Francisco that day. And we came back, then we discussed the colors. Then we discussed us sentiment ki hega, us Ram Kali da, Dev Gandhari da, you know, those kind of things. And her name is Kiran Kaur, as I mentioned earlier. And then I said, now we cannot limit this to Indology, because our work is to take it to the world. The wisdom has no copyrights of even regionalism. So I want to actually mention a quick snippet. Kitna time lag juga Kiran, and how long it will take you to get this done? In the maximum 6 months. It took her more than 2 years. And even after that, we were going back. So we did a lot of iterations on everything. The job was, you still have to retain the Indology, because otherwise we will be whitewashing, as we call it today. But you got to globalize it. The idea ka globally hai, separation ta saaryan di chal rahi hai. So ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ, in fact, if you notice carefully, ਇੱਕ ਓਂਕਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿਖਿਆ.
जी.
Just the numeral one ਲਿਖਿਆ.
Just the numeral one.
Because Onkar is also debatable for some cultures. But number one, whether you are Astik or Nastik, atheist or believer or whatever else, these polarities we live in, Ik is a unitary number, which means there is no zero. Call it whatever you want. And this was very, very important for me, because in Guru Granth Sahib, this debate is not entertained. Some Sikhs are entertaining, I know. I'm following Guru Granth Sahib's wisdom. And I want to explicitly mention, so you'll see why the number one eventually is the only thing being shown. Because one ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ Guru Granth Sahib ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਸਤਿਕ ਨਾਸਤਿਕ ਆਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ. It said, Asat Nasat Eko Now. This is what gurus are doing. They are actually ending polarities. Whether you are believer or non-believer, it's all about the one identity. And you know that if there are 8.4 billion people on earth right now, we have exactly the same DNA. Only a sequence is different, so that's your behavior. Yeah. So, it's a universally, naturally unification point for everyone, and which Guru Nanak used, and then he described it as Onkar. One is not debatable. Oneness is not debatable. It's not vague. It's very exact. Now, why this is equally important is because, a couple of days ago, as a personal sentiment, if I may call it, I flew into Delhi, and then very next day I flew to Patna Sahib. Because I'm like, that's where Guru Gobind Singh came. In the kolo mein kya maine ek book de do. Main to kholi bhi nahi. I didn't even want to look at. Somebody asked me. I'm like, I don't need to look at it. I want to go offer it in Patna first. And why I'm sharing this is, where Guru Gobind Singh is born, most of the Sikh world has not really given due credit to. Everyone knows his mother was Mata Gujri. But he had another mother. Jiri, the Raja of Patna at the time, Raja Mani, his wife was Vishambara Devi. She didn't have a child. And I'm bringing this key. This is not just about religiosity, this is emotions also. Human emotions, human conditions. This is what Guru Sahib is dealing with. And one day he just goes, sits on her lap. He's like, I'm also your son. Imagine, how can it be? I'm paraphrasing a little bit in today's context. He says, how can it be that you have two mothers? And the vocabulary he uses is, it's like a moon shining in two lakes. If anyone tries to analyze this, kinna vada gunah ho gaya. So this is what Guru is. Guru is very real. Guru is dealing with people's emotions. Guru is dealing with the politics of the time, which is the second part of the book. So what did Guru do when he became the Guru? And there I get into alliance building ke mein hundi hai, diplomacy ke mein hundi hai. How do you write to the authority? We live in an age today, these issues are very real. Relationships are very much an issue, and authoritarian states are back. I mean, imperial hegemony never ends. They just change. So how do you talk to an authoritative state? How do you deal with the people? I was in Patna, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੈਬ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਬਰ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਰਿਲੇਟੇਬਲ ਬਣਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸੀਰੀਅਸ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਗੱਲ मैं क्या फिर किसको वोट डाला आपने कहते वो तो नीतीश जी को ही डाला वो जो मर्जी पार्टी में जाए वही जीतेगी So you know why it's relevant? Because Guru Gobind Singh fights 22 battles. The very first battle he fights, people he's protecting, in the third battle they're fighting against him. When this happens to us, you know what becomes of us. But Guru's dealing with that. He's showing us how to deal with this. Party switching happens all the time.
My God.
Alliances are broken and changing all the time. But how do you navigate that? How do you still deliver what people need? How do you not make it about religion, but you make it about governance?
Yeah, that is actually a contemporary lesson we learned from him. I mean, that's incredible. But also, you've treated this book, and it is about life, vision, and wisdom. It's not a chronology. How do you feel that this would be better for the reader to understand the Guru rather than traditionally a biography or something written about a figure is in a chronological manner, to be born, grew up, this, that. But here we have a multi-sensory, non-chronological book. Why this approach?
The world today calls this adaptive learning. You don't tell people, hey, this is how you learn. Whatever your need is, you learn from that angle, right? So this is sort of one way to look at it. Obviously it's curated because I worked on it with the team on how to bring this together. If I may go back to the two secondary sources here, and that will help. Why did I pick them? I kind of mentioned this, but Nandalal Boya is a very trained scholar of the time. He actually served the Mughals first in court at Agra. He's from Ghazni, Afghanistan.
Oh,
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਤੋਂ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਉਹ ਗਜ਼ਨੀ ਤੋਂ ਆਗਰੇ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ So this displacements, migration ਇਹ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਬੜੇ reasons ਨੇ We migrate for different reasons. Circumstantially they may look different. Anyway, now he at some point leaves the court of the Mughals and goes to the court at Anandpur Sahib. He's writing many compositions. So the composition I picked is Ganjnama. Ganjnama is a treasure house. He has 10 chapters, and I want to tell you the title of the chapter on Guru Gobind Singh is called Sultanate-e-Daham. The 10th Sultanate, not the 10th Sultan, which means, and this is the Sikh Nazariya, ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ chronology ਨਹੀਂ. It's all vision. Let's understand the domain of the Guru. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਡੋਮੇਨ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਰਹੀ. We're trying to, ਕੋਈ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਉਹ ਹਿੰਦ ਦੀ ਚਾਦਰ ਸੀ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਨੂੰ, ਕੋਈ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਚਾਦਰ ਬਣਾ ਰਿਹਾ. You know what the second court poet wrote? This is why I'm bringing it, because this is happening in this year as well and last year. He says, Sagal Srisht Pੈ ਢਾਪੀ ਚਾਦਰ ਪ੍ਰਗਟ ਭਏ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ. ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀ ਦੀ ਚਾਦਰ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ. How can you reduce them to a particular group of people in a particular region? And so this is what these court poets are doing. They are giving us how to look at the Guru. So second one is Chandrasen Senapat, as I said. He traveled with the Guru. He's looking at some point before Bahadur Shah became the emperor. So this is what happens before somebody becomes a CM or a PM. It's the exact same thing. What is the relationship they have with you? And what happens when you change? And what happens when they hire assassins to kill you? All of that is happening with Guru Tegh Bahadur. So this is life is cloudy. So we talked about separation, te Rabb wadi gal, oh hega pure devotional love. But how do you still bring devotional love when it's bloody and cloudy, when it's dirty? How not to become dirty? How you still remain, your North Star remains the one. That's the second part in the book. And that's why I brought it through incidents there. I imagined, you know how they say, if you were to meet Guru Gobind Singh, what would you ask him? So I sort of imagined that. And then I imagined, what is it that people don't know? So I came up with those 12, 13 questions because the second composition is large, Sri Gur Sobha. Again, look at the title of the book. Sri Gur Sobha, splendor of the Guru, in the praise of the Guru. So, ਉਹਦੇ ਚੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ selections to answer those questions ਲਾਏ ਨੇ. So, idea was the kind of things we deal with in life, at home front, at personal front, in state front, in the global front. ਉਹਦੇ snippets ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ how to deal with the incitement.
But that also, you bring up devotional love, and but your devotional love is not just sentimental.
Yes,
there's this. It's almost it's disciplined. It's demanding. Like you yourself mentioned. So. What would you feel that Guru Gobind Singh Ji has taught us about love and responsibility working together?
So I have a bit of an issue with the word responsibility because love vich hundi nahi. But I get what you're saying. Dekho, the politics starts with language itself. So the words we use really matters. So I always look at what does the Guru say about this. Guru Sahib ne kede shabad hai na? Shabad is for wisdom. They are words at the end of the day. So look, coming back to what you're asking, love actually has zero boundaries. मैं इन गुरु ग्रंथ साहब तो शुरू कर रहा हूँ because one of the other things I'm working on this book is we see even separation between 10 gurus. People have their favorite gurus because we have not understood them. And in this text, including secondary text, they're all saying they're exactly same, only the body is changing. So this is the other thing I'm working on. We separate, because you see, and I want to actually tackle that first. All of our training, all of my training, everything we are going through universities is largely based on analysis now, which is Descartesian logic. Break things to the smallest level and then understand it.
Correct.
This is all about opposite of that, synthesis. How do you take things which are separate and bring them together? So one of the things I will ask all of you when you're studying texts, don't be about analysis. It is about synthesis. Synthesis is ਬਹੁਤ ਔਖਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈਗਾ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੋੜਨਾ ਬੜਾ ਸੌਖਾ, ਜੋੜਨਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਔਖਾ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ।
ਸੋ ਇਹ ਜੋੜਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ। ਦੇਖੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦਾ ਕੰਟੈਕਸਟ ਮੈਂ ਮੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਦਵਾਂ। He is born in Patna. Within 2 hours of that space is where the Mahavir had in Pavapuri his nirvana. In Bodh Gaya, where Gautam Siddharth had his nirvana, Buddha. And the biggest education center of South Asia at that time was Nalanda.
Correct, absolutely.
Us context which dekho Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Nanak's context, I'm going to connect it. University is Takshila. Religions are Hinduism and Islam. ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ। In fact, if you ask me, there has been no project like this in South Asia. A true consolidation, what we call nation building, which is not by force, but by actually bringing people's languages, customs, rituals, emotions,
Cultures.
music, color, art, all of it together. This is a true nation building.
True.
Which is defining, where I end the book, with the idea of Anandapur. The secondary text says, why did Guru Gobind Singh, who's the first diaspora guru? I am a diaspora man, so let me mention that. ਪੰਜਾਬ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਨੇ ਨਾ। ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਇੱਕ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਤੇ ਕਹਾ था ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਤਾਂ ਬਿਹਾਰੀ ਸੀ, ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੋਕ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ। Because we use that as, we use labels as cuss words depending on where we are. मैं कहा नहीं, he was born in Bihar, he had his own journey to Anandapur and he left earth at Nanded. Look at this, which means we are not the people of koi sacred space nahi hai. Look how it's done through life, not through lecture. But he developed this idea of Anandapur, that we all have our own journey to Blissville. And in Sikh tradition, that bliss is not just an emotional love, but that love is quote unquote disciplined, as you called it for a second, that you have to be disciplined about how to fight. And ithe main ek differentiation karke tanu das dena. So Guru Gobind Singh and Sikh tradition, their Sikhs are not fighters. That's our stereotype. We were warriors. Sura is the word. The qualification of Sura in Sikh tradition is the one who's drenched in love.
Oh.
Jaako har rang lago is jug mein, so kahiyat hai Sura. So this is how the warrior training started. They were drenched in Naam and Shabad.
Oh,
Then they were trained how to fight. So the difference between a fighter and a warrior is, fighter's first reaction is they're trigger happy, as we call them.
yeah.
Warrior's whole job is not to pull out that gun until as a last resort, which is what Guru Gobind Singh wrote. The most, couplet ਅਸੀਂ cite ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜ਼ਫਰਨਾਮਾ ਚ ਚੂਕਾ ਰਜ਼, ਹੈ ਨਾ? So as a last resort, after you've exhausted all means. This is the training in love. The love part is you are drenched in love. When he defines, everyone wants definition. I'm very anti-definition. Kuch lawyers itte baithe honge, they'll tell you why. Because it's all about who not to include. This is how exclusion starts. Boundary clear kar rahe hain na. And Guru Gobind Singh, when he describes Khalsa, it's not in this part, but ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ connect ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ. He says, this first thing he starts is the one who lives in constant awareness. Jagat jyot japay nisbasu. Second, Puran prem pratit sajay. Puran is complete. Sajna is ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣਾ decked out, ਜੋ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਦਿਖ ਰਿਹਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਡੁੱਲਦਾ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਵੇ। ਫਿਰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਖਾਲਸ last line ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ। So what I'm trying to say is that this is what Guru Sahib was doing. The training is all in love. And the effect of that was, which when you see when the Guru Gobind Singh leaves earth, which is not the topic here, I just wrote a paragraph on this. Then you see how was this practiced. The scholars became the warriors. That's Baba Deep Singh and Pai Mani Singh. We have done injustice to them. They were the scribes, they were the theologians, and the world had never seen that a scholar can fight like this, a musician can fight like this. This was the training at Anandpur. How do you write poetry? How do you pick up khanda? How do you play rabab? They were all trained in love through Shabad and Naam, and then its external manifestation depended on their skill set.
But just a short, quick question, because you are mentioning music, and the back cover of the book has a taus. Why I'm bringing it up is every single thing in this book is very well thought of and artistically placed. Tell us about why that is on the back cover.
So the front cover तो शुरू कर दे
बिल्कुल जी बिल्कुल
वो ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਬਾਜਾਂ ਵਾਲਾ. So symbolisms are there, but not the image of the Guru. But we also know khanda bada haiga hai na, so we try to, if you on the back, there is a taus, which is music. But we stereotype the Guru. I remember मैं ना झांसी जब छोटा होता सी, मेरी पहली ज़बान हिंदी थी. बोली बोलूँगा, ज़बान मेरी भाषा कहना चाहिए. 12 साल की उम्र तक मैंने हिंदी बोली है. पंजाबी तो मैंने अमेरिका जाके सीखी है. English आ गई because mom was an English lecturer in college. She made sure you knew the grammar. So this is how it happens. And you know what I'm saying is, मैंने याद है एक बार ना मैं magicians नहीं आने ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਬੜਾ ਪॉपुलਰ.
ਹਾਂ ਪੀਸੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ
ਉਹ ਵੀ ਝਾਂਸੀ ਆਇਆ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਕਿ ਕਲਚਰਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਗੱਲ ਔੜੀ ਹੋਣੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ. So I'm watching there, you know how they used to those things where they put swords through people, but when he comes out, he goes, "ये वो कृपान है जो गुरु गोबिंद सिंह ने use की थी जिस करके हम आज़ाद हैं." Like I remember him saying that. So this was in the culture. In Punjab, I just want to invoke this. Later when I started reading Punjabi poetry, the most romantic poet of Punjab is Shiv Kumar Batalvi in last 50 years. He also wrote a poem in Guru Gobind Singh. He called it Aarti. I just want to invoke that here because I brought all that in the book in a different way. And you know what he writes? This is a sensitive, otherwise he's a romantic poet. You know, शराब पी के मर गया because ਉਹਦੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣੀ. है ना? So that's relatable, right? ਆਪਾਂ ਹੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, but ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਲਾਈਫ 'ਚ. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ injured ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ, ਉਹ sensitive ਹੁੰਦਾ. ਅਸੀਂ ਬੜੇ ਇੰਜਰਡ ਹੈਗੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੈਂਸਿਟੀਵਿਟੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਖਤਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. We need to keep it alive actually. So when he writes about Guru Gobind Singh, this is where I'm taking inspirations from. You know, from the contemporary people, what are they saying? He says, मेरा हर गीत बुज़दिल है, मैं तेरा गीत किਵੇਂ ਗਾਵਾਂ.
Beautiful.
ਦੇਖੋ ਕੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ.
Beautiful.
He's like, I'm not ready to write about you because I am filled with fear. ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਲੰਬੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਉਹ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ. So every word matters. A romantic poet ਵੀ ਇੰਨਾ sensitive ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਅਜੇ I have to go wash myself, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਧੋਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਜਾ ਕੇ. word use ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਨੇ. ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਧੋ ਲਿਆ, ਫਿਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ, ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਆਰਤੀ ਗਾਵਾਂਗਾ. ਆਰਤੀ is praise. So that sensitivity I was familiar with. I don't know if I was able to bring it together with the team, but I can tell you we tried to do that with integrity.
No.
We made an effort towards it that we have to be very, very sensitive. We cannot change words. We cannot spin them to suit particular politics or particular ideology, but let's tell it how it is the best way possible.
You've given a very detailed explanation also on how you've chosen the text, and also how you how each shabad was chosen, and then the linguistics of it also. I think the first, when we were talking recently, you were mentioning that your first book was linguistics. I don't know how many people here know the first book that Harinder ji wrote was on linguistics, and you can see that as the founding basis for, you know, he's even given key, you know, will the accent be given, the drum marks be done. It's a very detailed approach, and it's crystal clear. So when he says it is without bias, without politics, it is कि ईमानदारी से कि मैंने लिख दिया है कि this is the process followed. It's very beautiful, and it takes a lot of courage to put it out there, कि भाई this is what it is. So, but also like we are talking about Guru Gobind Singh Ji's justice is also a fearless and inclusive justice. So what does the book convey about his justice, sovereignty? That especially since you very beautifully brought out the modern context. So tell us a little bit also what lessons we can take away in contemporary life.
Well, those are to be drawn, pretty explicit. Sure, I would say use the word sovereignty. People get afraid of this word. Why? We are all supposed to be sovereigns. ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਇਕਬਾਲ ਨੂੰ ਬੜਾ ਛੇਤੀ ਕੋਟ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਫਿਰ sovereignty ਕਰੋ ਨਾ, ਖੁਦ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਫਿਰ ਬੁਲੰਦ, ਹੈ। So we need to be sovereignty ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਇਕੱਲੇ JNU ਦੇ ਨਾਰਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ. In fact, let me invoke this, the word azad. I found that word, again, not in the book, but I'm going to come to it. Banda Singh Bahadur is not the topic in the book. So I found first source, which is a Sikh source on Banda Singh Bahadur. Every other source is, and I'm all for those sources, but I also want a Sikh angle. And there was a traveler with Guru Gobind Singh at the time, Tadi Nathmal. He wrote Farsi Chaobi. And I just want to invoke that. So when Guru Gobind Singh from near Nanded sends Banda Bahadur to Punjab to fight the tyranny in Punjab. So diaspora to Punjab. So ਜੇ ਕੋਈ diaspora ਤੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਘਬਰਾਇਆ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ. This is our tradition. Guru Gobind Singh was also diaspora man going to Punjab. But we have to be clear ਗੱਲ ਕੀ ਹੈ. And what the word he wrote in the phrase written is Panj Singh Azad. Azad word ਉੱਥੇ use ਹੋਇਆ. 5 independent free sovereign Sikhs were sent with Banda Bahadur. So you need people who are free if you are going to work on any freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of expression, political, whatever. Spirituality, spiritual gulami kitni tagdi hai. So the way sovereignty is exercised by the Guru, the secondary text, I'm going to use these words, Senapat writes that beautifully. Bhai Nand Lal Goya writes that beautifully. And you know the words, Gurpur's vele asi ga dinne a, Kadre Harkar Guru Gobind Singh. Qadr literally, from an Islamic terminology, is a creator. But it's Guru Gobind Singh ਲਈ use ਹੋਇਆ. And you know what the second part of the line is? ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕਿ he is like the creator. ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਗਈ. It's a blasphemy otherwise in Islam. You can't say that. But right after that, for what? ਬੇਕਸ਼ਾਰਾ ਯਾਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ. ਇਹ ਕਿਹਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਆ? ਬੇਕਸ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ, ਜਿਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਯਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹਦਾ ਯਾਰ ਹੈ. And this is in line with Guru Granth Sahib's thesis that Guru Nanak himself wrote the same thing, that Vadya syon kya rees, I am not here to emulate the establishment. Nichi hu niche, I am here to protect the rights of the ones whose rights are not being given. And Guru Gobind Singh does that. So sovereignty is self-exercised, then sovereignty is exercised in governance, in the state or whichever government system you have. And Guru Gobind Singh dealt with that. 22 ਰਾਜੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਹੋਰ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦਾ. 22 ਧਾਰ ਦੇ ਰਾਜੇ is a 22 states, you can say, roughly speaking. There's only one Raja of Nahang who does not change his allegiance. So this is how practical it is. The other 21 are constantly changing their allegiances. Sometimes with the Guru, sometimes not. Within 3 battles they are not. Sometimes they're saying they're siding with Aurangzeb. Isn't that crazy? You see this every political cycle, even today.
Yes.
So his navigation is, they also are not sovereigns. ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਕਰਨਾ. ਇਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਗੁਲਾਮ ਬਣ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸੀ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਹੈਗੇ. So this is the idea of sovereignty, that First, it is self-sovereignty. You must become free.
Correct.
And then you work to create the environment
That
where
is
other people can realize their own sovereignties.
very true. And till you're not free, how can you help free anyone else?
Oh, हिंदी दी एक पुरानी फ्रेज याद आ गई, वो कहते नंगा क्या नहाएगा क्या नहीं छोड़ेगा.
Bilkul. Nee, so my next question is maybe your toughest one yet. It is ki what if you were to rate them, what would be your favorite shabad?
Oh God. The reason I sighed a little bit, my kids will answer that. Daddy has no favorite. He doesn't answer favorite shabad questions. And that's true. वो तो फिर सेपरेशन करती है. हर एक शब्द का अपना रस है, सेंटिमेंट है. We live in multiplicity of sentiments, all of us, even the ones who act like they don't, especially some men. They need to calm down and bring their femininity out a little bit more. Let me just say that. And these shabads will help you. The shabads, the rags, are really about that there is a masculine and a feminine in all of us. And they're subdued. Listening to it, if it is sung right, will help you get there. ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ. ਇਹ ਓਪੀਨੀਅਨ ਹੈ ਮੇਰਾ, ਬਟ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਲਿਓ ਇਸ ਕੰਟੈਕਸਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣੋ ਵੀ, ਇਨੰਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸੁਣੋ. You know, when I'm talking, I'm partly lying. Because I'm calculating. What will she think? I wonder if they'll like it. Part of me is calculating. But when we sing, we don't. But if
Wow. That is so deep. Wow.
So ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਪਰੰਪਰਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਾਣ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ. Because ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਕੈਲਕੂਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਖਤਮ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੀ. And guess what? When there is zero calculation, it's love with capital L.
Very true. Very beautifully put. And also, you know, since I keep coming back to, you mentioned unity running through the book. And also, I keep asking for a contemporary message. So if there is a contemporary message that you think we can take away, a universality, because the biggest thing, you know, why we the repeated themes, there's a unity, there's a sovereignty, which is freedom, there is a fearlessness, and yet and there is of course the joining, hijab. So but society today has maybe not learned anything out of it. So what do you feel now that you've spent so much time on the book and rehearsing? What would you feel is that universality of message?
So firstly, I want to challenge your assumption. It's always been like this. It's not just it's like this today.
Oh.
Because this is about humans. Human behavior ਦੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ 2000 year history ਮੰਨਣੀ ਆ, 6000 ਮੰਨਣੀ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਆ. ਪਰ ਜਦ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ 50 years ਚੱਕ ਲਓ, ਇਹੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ. It's always been like this. This is why Guru Granth Sahib ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ context ਨੂੰ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, because this is continuity of that. It says, ਆਦ ਸੱਚ, ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ, ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ, ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਪੀ ਸੱਚ. It's about eternality, constancy. The truth is eternal. And this is not the truth as we call it truth, it's a capital T truth. Otherwise, we're in the post-truth world now. Us ਵੇਲੇ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ ਸੀ, everyone's spinning, and these 10 shabads actually talk about it. He says, let me tell you how the yogis are spinning, not your name. Which means the people who believe they are all that in today's language, right? So he's discussing those, but he says, instead of telling them, tell your mind. This is the difference. We don't clarify re man aso kar sannyasa. Let me invoke the very first shahad. ਆਪਣੇ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵਾਲਾ ਸੰਨਿਆਸ ਕਰ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ, let them be. It's their freedom, as we call it. So Guru Gobind Singh is not converting anyone. This is what I'm trying to get at. He is clarifying his mind. This is the approach which the world still is looking for. Universality is, it is the thought, it's the brain. The early neurological doctor can tell you whatever the signals are in the brain, everything else in the body does that.
Correct.
So the 95% of the shabas in Guru Granth Sahib are about man, the mind. And guess what? Guru Gobind Singh starts with that. The very first shabad is about what to... Re is like hey, right? As we say in English. Re pyar naal vi kehne ho, thoda ja, thoda, you're not ordering someone else, but you're ordering your own mind. So this is really about the mindset. It's how we think, what the paradigms we operate in. Universality of this and the constancy of this is a constant work within me. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. I'm in darkness. And what is a sign of darkness? When you don't know what to do. And so we still don't know what to do. Panth da ye haal hai, India da ye haal hai, आपने ये कर दिया, बीजेपी ने ये कर दिया, अकाली ਤਾਂ ਪਾਗਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ, ਇਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ। ਘਰਵਾਲੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣਦੀ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਘੁੰਮਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ। So we don't know what to do. So now, guess what? That's what darkness is. It is not some abstract thing. And light is when you know what to do. And where does the light bulb go on? Even the universal symbol of light bulb going on is in the brain.
Correct.
So is karke, this is fully applicable to any populations or peoples. And nobody has copyright on wisdom. This effort is to show how Guru Gobind Singh's model works, which is born out of the Guru Nanak's house, and how this model created an incredible legacy, which again is in trouble. I'm also pained by it. Many people are pained by it, but I'm trying to use the pain to go back to, as they say, ki original freshness ki ya.
Ji.
OG.
The OG.
So this is the OG.
And also, like once, I learned a lot going through the book, and I know that Shibani went through the book and she was intrigued to know more. And but I would ask you that, when you feel that a person would read the book, what do you feel is the relationship that you hope a reader forms with the Guru? What is that central message through the book to the reader?
I can tell you what it is for me. It's between you and the Guru Nath. I cannot be the interpolator. I know that's a job some of us have, but in this context, I'm playing with the words introduction. Interpolators. Look, for me, this was about a child who is in the awe of the Guru, and I want to talk about the Guru in a meaningful way. That's it. If you find it beneficial, great. That's you said it was an offering. It actually was only personal offering. It was never meant to be a book, by the way.
Oh, really?
The book part only started in the last couple of years. So this was just an offering. In fact, I wrote very short 3 lines, and I want to mention that it's a 1%er debate among 6. And I only gave 1 line each to it. I said to the anti-Dasam Granth people, my ask is this. To pro-Dasam Granth people, my ask is this. That's it. Because you can't have a debate unless you know the idea. So I want to be... In fact, मैं तानू sentimental answer दे देना इधर. I'm a fan of Asa Ki War. It's a tradition, not just for Sikhs. This is another misnomer. I went to a Pakistani Sangat on Friday night in Lahore with Sayyid Najam Hussain. ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਾਠ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਬੈਠੇ। So ਇਹ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਪਟਨੇ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉੱਥੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਪਾਠ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਭਾ ਦਾ. My point is, nobody has copyright on Shabad. The Guru part, not just in title, Sikhs say this is their Guru, which means we have accepted it as a community, as a guiding light. But have we? This is a question I'm raising. So in Asa Ki Vaar, there is a line, which is what I was trying to do through this work. And the line is, Satgur Vadda Karsa Laiya, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਵਡਿਆਈਆਂ. ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਵਡਿਆਈਆਂ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਚਾਪਲੂਸੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ. ਟੂ ਮੀ ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਵਾਸ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ. ਦੈਟਸ ਵਾਟ ਆਈ ਵਾਸ ਟ੍ਰਾਈਂਗ ਟੂ ਡੂ ਹੇਅਰ.
I think we are nearing the end of our discussion, unless you have something.
Whatever you
So I'm good with it, and generally, just as a last parting, that if this book were to, does anybody else have any questions?
You spoke about the music recitation. Is there any way that we can record and hear it from our phones?
100% Ji. At the end of the book, there is a link, both for recitation as well as the singing.
Various parts are very impressed. I have some few understanding problems as usual. Sir, I just want to understand how Guru Gobind Singh can be looked in isolation, or how we connect from 1469 to 1666 rather. And then the second question is something in my mind, that how the doing of the Guru, is it like Aap Narayan ka apne padho rahe ho, or like now Guru born in Patna, father was not there for over 4 years, is I think the maximum meeting point with Guru Tegh Bahadur was 5 years, and at 9 years of his age, he said, "Kadi boli aisa kara hoda ho sakta hai ki shahi de de." So that's the from Patna, Bihar to Anandpur to, then we say Guru Gobind Singh as the great scholar, as the poet, as so many languages other people are talked about, and the Omkar side to then the Anandpur leaving, and Sara परिवार में सोरा हो गया, और उसके बाद मच्छीवाड़े राय जंगल आकर to that he able to navigate and the पत्ता से मार. So all this is a legacy of a very exceptional thought and this thing. But only thing is that the Shabad, like you very rightly said, how the Guru was there some education through the peers, through his father or other people around, the grooming, and then making this courageous statement of making the Khalsa, the plurality of thought, Sawala. All these things, something in mind, how, like a Superman, how a person can travel to that height at an age, and attaining at 42 years, and this subway travel. So my not a question, but an understanding. Then another thing just came in my mind is, what is the essence of when we talk about Guru Gobind Sahib as our living Guru? Then we have the Sambharan, and we have to only worship the weapons, the Shastras. So we are also being put in at one place, at the place of worship. And we worship all of the three together, and probably also forget at our shrines, maybe Patna Saw or the Duke Saw, they place it. So the critic mind of a common man is getting confused. So I just spotted how this literal, intelligence's thought of oneness, and you just practically vanish all the photographs and put it, बाज लगा के and taken Guru through the nature, how one can really make this as a practice of a Sikh. That is what I just want to say.
सवाल गवाच गया कितने, बट कोई गल नहीं, I'll take this in spirit. Initially, you asked two questions with, is it this or is it that? And so that's a polarity right there. I would say it's this and that. So that requires your own journey. Now, explicitly what I can say is this. There is a faith and then there is an understanding. ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਵੀ polarity ਬਣਾ ਲਈ ਹੈ. Faith, ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ, ਹੁਣ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਤੇ ਅੰਧ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਫਰਕ ਆ. ਸੋ ਲਵ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ, ਲਵ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ, then you don't need understanding. So whatever you're looking for, you have to be clear instead of worrying about other people's polarities. ਆਪਣੀ polarity ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕੀ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਡਾਊਟਸ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨੇ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਨੇ. ਐਂਡ ਬਾਈ ਦਾ ਵੇ, ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਵਾਟ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸੇਜ਼ ਐਂਡ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਇਜ਼ ਡੂਇੰਗ ਸੇਮ. ਹੀ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਇਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਇਟ ਸੇਜ਼ ਕਿ ਭਰਮ ਕੇ ਪਰਦੇ ਸਤਗੁਰ ਖੋਲੇ. ਸਤਗੁਰ ਇਜ਼ ਇਟਰਨਲ ਵਿਜ਼ਡਮ, not somebody who is heading the Isha Foundation. That's a title he has given. No, and there are many like this. Sikha vich bhi bade ne, and I'm not putting anyone down. This is not a title. People can give titles. Dost ji de ghar mein thehar ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਆ. That doesn't mean he's Guru. So I'm just saying ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਗਲਤ ਨਾ ਲਓ. There is a word, but there's a meaning behind the word. And the meaning behind what Guru Gobind Pasha's shabads are, it is actually clarifying the mind to end the separation with the one. ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਗਿਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੌਣ ਤੋੜੂ? ਜਿਹੜੇ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਹੋਰ ਟੁੱਟੋਗੇ, ਉਹ ਜੁੜ ਗਏ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? So I'll just build ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੰਬੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ end ਵਾਲੀ, lot of that was 1%er questions, so I'm skipping that. If you know what your litmus test is, you can sort out issues for yourself. This is where largely the community is suffering. So we need to be very clear, our litmus test is Shabad. Our litmus test is not a practice of a particular group or a particular version of history. History ਤਾਂ ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ problematic ਆ. It's his story. ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰ story ਤਾਂ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ. So we have to be careful with these things. So when we had to pick a historical anecdote, I said secondary text ਆ only ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪਾਵਾਂਗਾ, ਸੁਣੀ ਸੁਣਾਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਣੀ. So this is an approach, is what I'm sharing with you. That Guru Gobind Singh was connected. Did he have training? Absolutely. Pandit Shivdat ਨਾਲ ਖੜੇ ਨੇ. ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਟੀਚਰ ਸੀਗੇ. ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਬਣਾਈਏ ਰੱਬ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਹੈ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ, but if you want to learn lessons, they have teachers. Absolutely, they have teachers. Guru Gobind Singh's grandmother is also teaching him when Guru Tegh Bahadur is not there. Why have we forgotten her? ਅਸੀਂ ਮਦਰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ, grandmother ਤਾਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਹੀ ਗਈ, ਮਾਤਾ ਨਾਨਕੀ ਜੀ, who has seen incredible political crisis and assassination and torture. So ਐਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਉੱਥੇ training ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ. There's a training we have in our families. There's a training we have where we go to schools. There's a training we have when we do our internships in practice. And at some point, if somebody is ready, then you are consulted. And that's what happened when Guru Tegh Bahadur consulted him. What do you think should be done when the Kashmiri Brahmins approached? Let me contextualize that also in this, because it's in the secondary text. Please don't just say they were Kashmiri Brahmins. Kashmiri Brahmins were the scholars. ਪੰਡਿਤ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਸਕਾਲਰ ਨੇ. ਕੌਲ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਡਿਪਲੋਮੈਟਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ. ਹਾਲਾਂਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਧੀ ਨੂੰ ਬੈਂਗਲੌਰ ਤੋਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਤੋੜਤਾ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸਾਲ because she was critiquing the constitutional issues going on in India. Yeah. So this is how I'm bringing more contemporary things. But when do you consult someone? When you think you have trained them. Did Guru Nanak consult his two sons? They were not trained yet. That doesn't mean you condemn them. He still didn't condemn them. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੀਤਾ, ਇੱਕ ਉਦਾਸੀ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ, ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ, let people be. But here the training is happening. Who's going through mother, grandmother, uncle, Mama ji ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ, Kripal Chand, eventually Kripal Singh, incredible training. Pandit Shivdat is asking questions. फिर carefreeness is being taught. Today, we have confused the word carefree with careless. Sorry, it's a long answer and I'll end it here because I want to go back to Patna for a second. So we ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਕੰਗਨ ਘਾਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੜਾ ਉਤਾਰਿਆ ਸੋਨੇ ਦਾ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ, ਦੂਜਾ ਉਤਾਰ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਟਤਾ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਿਆਣਾ ਕਰੂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚਪੇੜ ਮਾਰੋਗੇ ਦੱਬ ਕੇ। So how do you teach carefreeness? ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ detachment। ਇੱਕ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ detachment ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ, ਇਹ non-attachment ਆ। Of course he has aversions. I've used that word non-attachment, that's why. Detached ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ shoulder ਟੁੱਟ ਜਾਵੇ ਫਿਰ ਤਾਂ pain ਹੋ। So point is, absolutely there is training. This is why in Sikh tradition, when the Gurgaddi happens, they are in command and that's what we should be looking at the most. Until then there's a training. And we cannot look at the training period, je kuch ho bhi gaya. Then second Guru, third Guru, they did many other things before they became Guru. So this is us. We are going to fall. In fact, that's very human. We're going to keep falling. So what? We are under training. ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ fall ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਠੀਕ? So Guru Gobind Singh had perfected it. That's why he became the Guru. So to make a long answer short, solve your own polarity and your own separation. Then you will see how to connect the dots.
So I would like to say something. I, as a professor, Dr. Sunita Puri, and that author of a book called Sikhism, it became globally popular and went to the various countries abroad. And the biggest question is that many people, even some of the Sikhs, believe that this militarization of the Khalsa under Guru Gobind Singh was a deviation or a translation. Can I take the audience like this? Now, the most important thing is that the first Guru Nanak was not simply a saint like Kabir, Mila, Tusio. It is unfortunately after independence history of India that the Sikh Gurus had not been given the recognition which we achievement they deserve. Because of the pro-Muslim policy of the government for many years, केवल सिंपल किस्में नाना पास सिंपली भाग के पंजाब हाकिमों के पंजाब कुमार पादिक पंजाब तुलसी मीरा the teachers simply listed and belong to Pakistan. No, none was not simply a Pakistan. He was a great political scientist, a believer in God, a believer in the concept of man. Their entire life, politics, military, society is a part of human being. A saint is not supposed to Poromala. No. He was a complete human being, a unique human being who led the congress of religion. And what Guru Gobind Singh was doing in that scene was not a transformation, a conciliation and a consolidation of Sikh Dharma and Dev ka Yoga. And I've done a lot of research on this. I'm not doing yet Persian, I know Sanskrit, I know Guru. In 1984, a Operation Do Satu case had one month.
Excuse me, ma'am. You have a question?
Yes, so he laid the question, how will it focus lies to Guru Gobind Singh? The answer to that is that systematically during first five Guru, when Guru Arjan Dev was martyred, after that the Sikhs Guru Gobind Singh said, the time has come that we cannot support the persecution of the Mughal. We have to be strong enough because the king of the 10% of the Satamwadi, there really barbarian is the Mughal that
Thank you, ma'am. I think there are many other questions we must
Yeah,
other questions, really?
Thank you, Harinder.
There are questions in there.
Thank you, Harinder, for this amazing book. I have to really like Yogi for publishing it. I'm very conflicted about Guru Gobind. Have been as a rebellious teenager in a devout Sikh household. This particular Guru was always a subject of great emotional sort of questioning. And so the two questions that come up, I mean, one of it is related to the fact that you haven't used images. And from being non-idol worshippers, now every Gurdwara has images of the Gurus that painted by Soma Singh or whoever. And those have become our idols. So this is interesting that you've avoided that. And shouldn't we, in fact, be doing that everywhere instead of reviewing these paintings that are someone's imagination? That was one thing. The second thing is sometimes I keep wondering if, how to reconcile polarities. Sometimes it feels like Guru Gobind Singh went 180 degrees from Guru Nanak. and in creating rehets and rules and rituals, or maybe contemporary Sikhs honor those more than the actual teaching. And so that's always been a source of, internal turmoil, because you want to be a good Sikh, you want to honor what Guru Nanak started, that philosophy of egalitarianism and everything. But when you come to the 10th full and suddenly there are barriers. If you've cut your hair, a bad Sikh. If you do this, you're a bad Sikh. You are forced to do wazoo, putting your feet in the water before you go into Gurdwara. All these things they see contrary to what it started out as. So I'm just wondering how can we get peace with all this and really love the Gurus.
Thank you. That's a very, very real question and something we observe. The good news is I have tackled that in the book through the secondary source, not just my opinion on these things. And the brief of that is this, that जो मैडम भी ਇੱਥੇ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਹੁਣੇ ਸੁਨੀਤਾ ਜੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਪੂਰੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਬਟ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਈਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ In the popular myth, in the popular narrative, we have created separation between the gurus. In Guru Granth Sahib, it says, Jot oha, Jugat sai, Sahakaya fir palti hai. Simply put, and this, by the way, is not written by any of the gurus. So you can say ki wo to self-fulfilling prophecy hogi. This is written by Satta Balwand. And this is one Bani I highly recommend if you want to understand the historical approach of the gurus. In Guru Granth Sahib, this is a 8-stanza Bani to study. GuruGranthSahib.io, go there and study it, please. It actually shows what happened between each guru. This is the version authenticated by Guru Arjan. So, eta Guru Gobind Singh vele nahi na, wo to pehla hi ho gaya. So, we have to understand that it's saying the light was exactly the same. Light is the wisdom. Jugat is method. The method was exactly the same. The only thing which changed was Kaya, which is body. So that's my first citation. Second is from Bhai Nand Lal Goya and Chandrasen Senapat. They both have written this. They listed the all 10 names of the gurus. Guru Nanak Sahib to leke 10वें पातशाह था Guru Gobind Singh, and ਉਹਦੇ ਚ Farsi वाले which Farsi which, old Punjabi and Braj वाले which, old Punjabi and Braj which, you are exactly the same. Because guess what? This is not confusion today. The confusion had occurred back then. Because what is the confusion? Confusion is we have a fixated image of the Guru, which is what we are tackling today. Similarly, in popular culture, there is a fixated image of the Guru. Now, if I tell you it's Guru Nanak who wrote that if you are ready to die, then put up your head on your palm. Most people think it's Guru Gobind Singh's, but it's not. So what you have to realize is the narrative which are popular are not outside, they're outside of Guru Granth Sahib. And everything for Sikhs is Shabad. If you don't understand the paradigm of Shabad, we will create differentiation between gurus. Second thing which I want to mention quickly, that Guru Gobind Singh baare jehdi tusi gal kahi hai. Many people are not at peace with Guru Gobind Singh. You're not the only one. But it may shock you, many are also not at peace with Guru Nanak. Because people are at peace with Guru Nanak based on what you are saying are the popular images. If you read Guru Nanak, this is my opinion now. Guru Nanak Sahib and Bhagat Kabir Ji in Guru Granth Sahib, if you really read them, chapeda maar dene khich ke. You will not be at peace if you understand what they're saying. They're saying, what the hell are you doing? I'm putting contemporary spin on it. Like Guru Nanak is, if you read Asa Ki Waar, he'll tell you, Chodi la pakhanda, naam laya jaye taranda. The issue what you are citing is that there is an issue of rahat which I want to tackle. So there is a lot of misnomer about that as well. And in fact, when Vaisakhi of 1699 happened, there were few Sikhs of Delhi. Apan Delhi baithe hain, tohada example leke denne hain. Few Sikhs of Delhi were also there. And by the way, we don't understand Vaisakhi, which we have given contemporary account in there. Only one Punjabi got up that day as a volunteer. It's a big misnomer. So when I said that true consolidation, if there has been a nation building in South Asia, people who had been listening to the Shabads, they came from the different corners of South Asia. Only one was Punjabi. 4 non-Punjabi ne 5 pyare. Ek Gujarat da vi si. Hanji. So point being, we don't understand hai ki Khalsa. The guy who somebody just shouted, Bhai Sahib Singh was a barber. So we actually don't know what Khalsa is, and we're trying to get in there a little bit. So what is Rahat, which most people have issues with? Rahat literally means lifestyle, first of all. You always have protocols as the consolidation of community happens. So I'm going to come back to Guru Granth Sahib and bring to 10th Guru then. In that Satta Balwan Zwar in Ramkali Rag, now this is the line he uses. It will shock you because Sikhs are not reading Gurbani. This is my whole contestation, and we are discussing history's two polarities. It actually says कि जब decision लेना सी ना, who will lead the next, who's the next guru? Putta Sikha Kok ke. So in other lines which उत्थे भाइयां भी लिखिया, which means they considered the sons, they considered the followers. Kokhna ਹੁੰਦਾ to assess. And then it says, if they found that nobody was, if the first among equals, if there are few people who are qualified, the last line which second podi ch likhya, Suddhos. Then they corrected what was still missing. And then when they were presented to the Sangat, Guru Granth Sahib ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਰਿਹਾ, ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸ਼ੰਕਾ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਹੋ ਜੂ, ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਲ ਡੀਲ ਕਰ ਲਵਾਂ। ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਨਾ, ummat word use hoya utthe ki sangat hai now become an ummat. It's an Islamic word. Ummat is the nation. Sangat is a community where people come together to learn. And this is time of Guru Nanak, Guru Gobind, until Guru Arjan idda hoya ho keh rahe ne. Kehne ummat de samne clear karta, this is the man, and many didn't agree and they started the fights even back then. So just know that leadership transfer is never piece of cake. Never. It had happened way before Guru Gobind Singh. Now that said, when Guru Gobind Singh announced the Khalsa, and I'm just offering this, Khalsa has its own protocols. Everything has its own protocols. We have confused the Khalsa Rahat as the Rahat for everyone. It's a conscious choice. And when the Khalsa word was introduced, I want you guys to also know from a secondary text, this is the first time in Sikh tradition the word mazhab is used. Mazhab is the organized part of the religion. Organized part needs protocols. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹੋ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਚੀਰ ਫਾੜ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਵਾਂ without training, ਇਦਾਂ ਥੋੜੀ ਹੋ। So the organized part of the Sikh ummat, just to use the original word from Guru Granth Sahib, is the Khalsa. For Khalsa, it is not an option. You will do this or not. Khalsa is a full-time revolutionary drenched in love. मेरे वर्गा सिर्फ अमृत छक के जो डरपोक है वो खालसा नहीं है, based on the text and history. So this is what Guru Gobind Singh, that's why Guru Gobind Singh had many non-Sikh friends. Guru Gobind Singh had Muslim friends. It is not anti-Muslim also. ये बिल्कुल गलत है. We should not tolerate this kind of language. We are not anti-anyone. उस context which we were neither anti-Hindu nor anti-Muslim. We had issues of sovereignty. 22 ਧਾਰ ਦੇ ਰਾਜੇ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹੀ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਹੀ ਸੀਗੇ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਲ ਪੀਰ ਬੁੱਧੂ ਸ਼ਾਹ 700 ਜਵਾਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਤੇ 4 ਮੁੰਡਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਸੀਗੇ। So this has never been about religious. Khalsa was the ones who are the next to make sure this is done right. A part of the confusion we are dealing with in last 200 years, and that's not what's covered in the book, because in last 200 years, all this has become upside down. We have brought confusions, we have laws. We are sitting in India, let me just tell you, we have 5 takhats, and each takhat where these supposed to be taken care, they are all manipulated by the local statutory bodies. I was at Patna and a day before they announced the election, but government announced the election to Takht Patna. Now you're going to laugh at this. Now you can see what kind of manipulations are happening, including on the definition of a Sikh in keeping here or not. It is for electing the people who are representing supposedly the Sikhs. So not going there, this had happened actually at the time of Guru Gobind Singh. Sikhs of Delhi are also sitting there. They come back to Delhi. There's a full chapter on this, by the way, in Sri Gur Sobha. And I gave some snippets. They come back, they're like, so the ones who didn't go, they want to know what happened there on Vaisakhi Day. You know, we also have narratives, right? These spinners on YouTubes and TikToks now. They're not present, but they're all talking about it. So they want to learn. And they tell them, this is what happened there. They're like, we don't accept this. What is this? Now he says you can't cut your hair, for example. By the way, it was always there, not cutting hair. But it was never enforced because it's your choice. Even now, this is the case. So when there is a discussion, guess what happens when you have a disagreement? You're in Delhi, so some of them sarkare darbare naal bhi deal kar denge. So chale gaye sarkar kol. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰੋ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ this is happening now. Sikhs are taking their cases to courts on even SGPC matters. This happened during Aurangzeb's Sultanate also. That's what I'm getting at in Delhi. So then it got out of hand. ਕਈਆਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਦੁਕਾਨਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਾਤੀਆਂ ਦਿੱਲੀ 'ਚ ਹੋਇਆ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ right after 1699. Eventually they said ki why don't we go and meet Guru Gobind Singh? Because Guru is still alive. Na? Khalsa has been declared the Guru. But the Guru physically is there, so he can tell us what really happened. So they send their representatives, they go there. It is in long detail discussed how the reconciliation was developed then. My whole point is, disagreement is natural. When people take positions, sometimes we get emotional. Guru in his own life has also shown how to deal with the Rahat issues. Rahat is for those who want to volunteer to become a Khalsa. मैं ना तुसी पंजाबी हिंदू हो ना जी, don't mind me using this word, ਇਸ context ਵਿੱਚ ਆਨਸਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਿੰਦੂਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੀ ਅਰਲੀਅਰ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੀਗੇ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤਾਇਆ ਜੀ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ।
ਹਾਂ, ਮੈਂ ਫਾਦਰ ਤਾਇਆ ਜੀ, ਫਾਦਰ ਤਾਇਆ ਜੀ। You know why people used to make, so when you're saying Sikh ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਪੱਗ ਵਾਲੇ ਸੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ?
नहीं वो टोपी पहन, बट चलो some cases Sikh भी सी, in some cases Khalsa भी सी. Why that happened? Why were people in their families making Khalsa? I want to mention that in this context. Because ਹਰੇਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਉਹਦਾ। And everyone wanted ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਅੱਧਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। Don't mind me saying this in a more emotional way. Sarvan Sadani, we say, his whole effort is not to just build the family. In fact, the whole family is offered so everyone exercise the freedoms. एक गल समझने वाली है, इदा ना करो इन्हों। What is our effort? कि सारा कुछ family ਲਈ ਛੱਡ ਜਾਈਏ। So how can we understand this? One is about protecting everyone else. So people used to become Khalsa. कि यार the family knew कि ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਕੰਮ ਠੀਕ ਕਰੋ, state knew ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਕੰਮ ਠੀਕ ਕਰੋ, and everyone knew this, so they were operating. This is the 18th century of the Sikhs. Now we have declarations of Khalsa, which is where the Rahat issues are creating confusions. So Khalsa is very political as it is spiritual, जो मैं earlier ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ। Khalsa is a full-time revolutionary drenched in love. If we understand the basics of Guru Gobind Singh's has a continuity, the word transformation is a Western concept. Transformation implies something changed. Sikh authors ने जब English लिखी उन्होंने use किते जिमें तेजा सिंह ने term growth of responsibility. Gokul Chand Narang wrote a great book. I love that book, but he used that title. थोड़ी जी गलती हो गई उधर, जो ट्रांस उसको फिर confusion आना शुरू हो गया as if Guru's changed something. No. The externalization is always going to be relevant to the times. The Jyot and the Jugat is exactly the same. Method is, I am going to connect to the one. Out of that connection of love, to end my separation with my Creator, I will operate in life fearlessly and without being biased and taking sides.
Very well.
So just to say that we have actually now defined, I think we won't be able to take
The last two, yeah.
2 questions. So, and the rest we will have to carry on over the. So,
Steady. I have quick 3 questions. I will quick.
3 with 3 parts each.
So the last question will be about the book and it refers to because of Sikh Research Institute spend so much time in SWOT research on Sikh history. And this is not personal question. As a Sikh, as a naive, like I know very less about Sikh history, but I might be asking is Sikh. So Guru Gobind Singh Ji left the Killa. What is the message? To be to the career of like the reference. First question. Second, Guru Gobind Singh Ji they Apu Bazu Bhai. What is the message? Third question. तो सी 30 साल से पे मैं रिसर्च की है मैं वो लिखी है तो सी गुरुओं में कोनो फ्री tell us some experience.
The first 2 questions I've dealt with in the book because they are मेरे सवाल भी नहीं हो. See, 1699 to 1708 is a long time. And we need to understand it ki ho raha si us vele. Every guru declared the next successor while they were alive. And they made sure that those who claimed to be Sikhs of the guru, they at least followed the next successor. Guru Nanak did it. Not everyone followed. They also created havoc. So this is why Guru Angad, once from Pai Lehna, he became Angad of my limb. Lehna otherwise is an asset, a decorative asset. देखो वर्ड्स दे पिछे भी बड़ा कुछ होंदा ना कहंदे नहीं हुण ऑफ माई लिम ना मतलब ये मेरा हो गया हुण दन ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਡੂਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਸੀ because what happens is the work must continue. Today we call that you have 2 teams in corporations, contemporary angle. Somebody has to continue with the product development. You can't be all doing damage control. Sikh ajkal damage control hi kari jande ne, fir tusi product develop karo na. So in case of Guru Gobind Singh, the declaration of the next successor is not a one person now, it's Khalsa. It caused utter confusion. How will they govern? In that governance between 1699 to 1708, there are multiple examples, and one of them is Anandpur da Killa, where he is saying no. The 5 decide leave, and he says no, strategically this is wrong. But they're like, no, you says we are the decision makers, so you have to follow our decision. Is tarah samjho is gal nu. And the part which, so Guru is Guru, right? So Guru ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੱਛਾ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਮੰਨਾਂਗਾ. You're right, right? You are, because ਖਾਲਸਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਪੂਰਾ. ਖਾਲਸਾ ਉਹ ਆ, ਖਾਲਸਾ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਣਾ ਲਿਆ ਲਾਸਟ ਨੇਮ ਲਿਖ ਕੇ. So Guru Gobind Singh followed their decision. He's showing it in practice. But then he says कि declare ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਊਂਗਾ. ਐ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੁਪ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ. ਆਵੇ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਆਉਣਾ. ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤਾੜੀ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਨਿਕਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ, if you want to understand more details. So that's on the first part. Second part, I wrote a personal essay in there, how to understand Guru Gobind Singh, how I understood it. And one of the questions is, Guru Gobind Singh is inseparable from Guru Granth Sahib. I have 5 statements there. This is the third one. Then I describe why. मैं ना एक बुजुर्ग ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਲਾਹੌਰ ਦੇ ਸੀ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ. ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਡਿਸੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ, ਡਾਕਟਰ ਪ੍ਰੀਤਮ ਸਿੰਘ. He was a physician in Lahore. ਪੀਰਜ਼ਾਦਾ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੀ. ਪਟਿਆਲੇ ਆ ਗਏ ਸੀ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰੀ ਕੁਰਾਨ ਯਾਦ ਸੀ. I know people like that. I know a 7-year-old kid who has the whole Quran memorized. They're called Hafiz-e-Quran. Now why I'm giving this example, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਈ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਬਲੀਵੇਬਲ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਿਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਈਜਿਪਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਰੋ ਕੁਰਾਨ ਦੇ ਕੰਪੀਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। Guru Gobind Singh, when the Swaroop of Guru Granth Sahib wasn't available because it became a personal property of the Sufis of Kartarpur, even today they have it. Copies were made and then Guru Gobind Singh did it from the memory. ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਬਾਣੀ ਨੰਬਰ 1 ਆ, ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟਫੁਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ। We center around Shabad. The personalities we salute as gurus because they connected us to Shabad. So Guru Gobind Singh is inseparable. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਮਰੀ ਚੋਂ ਕਿਹਾ, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਮਦਮੀ ਬੀੜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ। ਹਰੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਚੀ, ਇਹ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਟੀਰੀਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੋਣ ਦਾ। 6ਵੇਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ, 7ਵੇਂ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ, 8ਵੇਂ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ। ਸੋ the criteria ਅਸੀਂ ਬਣਾ ਲਏ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਟੀਰੀਆ ਸਮਝਣੇ ਪੈਣਗੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਐਂਗਲ ਤੋਂ। ਗੁਰੂ ਐਂਡ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆਰ ਇਨਸੈਪਰੇਬਲ, ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਟੀਰੀਆ ਬਸ। So why did he not include? It's not in the book. I'm answering that. थोड़ा जिहा patient होना पैंदा because I have to cite you. Because when you read Jaap Sahib, in the very opening stanza, in the last line, he tells us कि गुरु ग्रंथ साहब विच केड़ा नाम आ ते मेरी बाणी विच केड़ा नाम आ। मैं बड़े चिर दा इनू समझण दी कोशिश लग्या एक एक्सप्लेनेशन आसे। उत्थे कहंदे ने कथै कवन करम ना करम, कहंदे केड़े केड़े तेरे नाम ने, मैं केड़े केड़े कहीं नहीं जा सकते, बट मैं जिहड़ा करम नाम आ गुरु ग्रंथ साहब विच किरतम नाम है, जिदों असीं एब्सट्रैक्ट और इंटेंजिबल कह सकते हैं। करम नाम इज एक्शनेबल थिंग्स वी अंडरस्टैंड। जिवें छोटा बच्चा हुंदा ना, तुसीं उन्हां नूं एब्सट्रैक्ट नाउन थोड़ी सिखांदे हो, कॉमन नाउन सिखांदे हो। कहने मैं ਜਿਹੜੇ एक्शनेबल nouns ਨੇ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ describe ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ। This is how I have explained to myself. This is not a good explanation. I'm just saying consider this if it helps you. Third and the last part देखो जी, वो तो मैं cover कर लिया सी आज। At some point Guru Gobind Singh was not just a hero और भी ना, जब ना उन्होंने गुरु बना ही लिया, फिर it is not enough for me to say कि what did Gandhi write about Guru Gobind Singh. Let me say that it's problematic for us as Sikhs because he did not write good statements on Guru Gobind Singh. I read Young India very carefully. I looked at the citations in my college days. Engineering was the work, but this is where I started. I'm like, let me study these things. Ho ki raha hai. So of course then we have trouble, accepting father of this nation fully because he wrote horrible statements on Guru Gobind Singh. So there's the politics of all this, which we all have to deal with. Similarly, Iqbal is quoted a lot. He gave a lot of credit to the Khalsa development, but he wrote it in a little angry tone. मैं तुहानूं दस दिंदा हां फारसी दा, गिव मी, मैं अपनी गल नहीं कर रहा इत्थे, मैं सब स्टडी कर रहा सी, मैं तुहानूं ये दस रहा कि ਜਿਹੜੇ ਥਿੰਕਰਸ ਨੇ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਆ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ। ਰਵਿੰਦਰਨਾਥ ਟੈਗੋਰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ, ਇੰਨਾ ਸੈਂਸਿਟਿਵ ਪੋਇਟ ਆ, but why did he write that one article, The Rise and Fall of Sikh Empire, where he wrote horrible things about Guru Gobind Singh? I'm studying all this. This is me, the student. In 1910, Modern Review, Calcutta, I'm nerdy about it. I can tell you when it was written. But I didn't make that the issue in this book. I just gave a reference. That somebody who's seriously inquiring the leading thinkers of South Asia, how are they looking at Guru Gobind Singh? I haven't figured out why, but I did look at how. And then मैं क्या, मेरी job है कि मैं गुरु गोबिंद सिंह ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਦੱਸਾਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਕੀਤਾ। I'm going to end with this ਪਿਆਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ, because ਭਾਈ ਨੰਦ ਲਾਲ ਗੋਇਆ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ। He also dealt with all of this. He's serving in different courts. And I want to quote that, जब मैं अपना ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ, ਹਰੇਕ ਦਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਚਾਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਸੋ ਮੇਰਾ ਚਾਹ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਾਰਡ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਲਿਖਾਂ। I've seen traditional card ਕੀ ਲਿਖੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ। So I wrote this couplet, which is from ਭਾਈ ਨੰਦ ਲਾਲ ਗੋਇਆ। ਸੋ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਚਿਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ, ਵਿਆਹ ਹੋਏ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ 23 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਨੇ। ਉੱਥੇ ਕੀ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਮਾਜੁਸ ਹਦੀਸ ਇਸ਼ਕੇ ਤੂੰ ਹਰਫੀ ਨਾ ਖਵਾਂਦੀ। It's one of share from one of the ghazals. And he's writing this about Guru Gobind Singh. ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਇਸ਼ਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਹੋ, ਸੌਖਾ ਲਾਭਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਚ, ਤੇਰੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰਫ ਲੈਟਰਸ ਖਵਾਂਦੀ ਲਿਖਣਾ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਦੀਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ, oral tradition, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜੋ orally ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, not necessarily with evidence। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਤੇਰੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੀ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਰਿਹਾ, ਮੈਂ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੀਟ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ। ਟੈਕਨੀਕਲੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਫਰਕ ਆ, ਬਟ ਅਗਲੀ ਲਾਈਨ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਸੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦਰ ਰਾਹੇ ਇਸ਼ਕੇ ਈਨ ਹਮੇ ਤਕਰਾਰ ਮਈ ਕੁਨੀ। ਬਟ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਚਲੋ ਜੋ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਬੋਲਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਸੁਣ ਰਿਹਾ ਬੜਾ ਕੁਝ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਰਾਹ ਤੇ ਤੁਰੇ ਆ, ਦੋਜ਼ ਹੂ ਆਰ ਵਾਕਿੰਗ ਔਨ ਦ ਪੈਥ ਆਫ ਲਵ ਟੂ ਯੂ, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਾਇਲੌਗ ਕਰਨਾ। So this is what this is about. This is about those who want to be in love with Guru Gobind Singh, which I am. And at the same time, I want to say that love is not just a romanticized thing. This is a blueprint which took on the largest dynasty of South Asia. And they showed us in 10 generations how do you deal with a very serious imperial force. Guru Nanak onward. ਉਹ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਥਾ, ਡਿਸਿਪਲਿਨ ਇਹ ਸੀਗਾ, 6 out of the 10 gurus, and I'm going to leave it here for you to think more. ਮੇਰਾ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦਾ। 6 out of those 10 gurus were either jailed, tortured, imprisoned, political assassination attempts, or martyred. 6 out of 10. ਗਵਾਲੀਅਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਆ, ਝਾਂਸੀ ਦੇ, ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਸੀ। ਉਹ ਕਿਲੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 52 ਰਾਜੇ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਸਮਝੋ ਨਾ। ਬਟ ਦੇਅਰ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਦੇ ਗਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਕੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਰੂਲਰ ਨੂੰ, ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਣੀ ਚਾਹ ਰਿਹਾ। ਡਾਇਲੌਗ ਕੀਤਾ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਤੂੰ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ 'ਚ ਪਾਣਾ ਪਾਵਾ, ਮਾਰ ਵੀ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਟੌਰਚਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਾਰਿਆ। ਸੋ ਜੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਟੌਰਚਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗੁਰੂਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੱਡਿਆ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਛੱਡ ਦੇਣਗੇ? In fact, if you don't mind me saying, Delhi has never been kind to Sikhs. ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸੀ, ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਮੋਤੀ ਬਾਗ ਤੋਂ ਤੀਰ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਅਗਲੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ, ਇਸ਼ਾਰਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ I am fully capable. So we are supposed to be those warriors from the Guru Nanak, Guru Gobind Singh's traditions, who are very capable writers, lovers, warriors, and we need to be very, very careful with our behaviors.
ਸਤ ਪ੍ਰਣਾਮ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ। ਸਰ 9 ਸਾਲ
ਮੇਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ, ਮੈਂ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਸੇ ਧਰਮ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ 'ਚ। ਫਿਰ ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਕੱਢ ਲਓ, ਉਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਿਹੇਵੀਅਰ ਚੇਂਜ। This is what gurus did. Those who changed their behaviors at the highest level became the Khalsa. If today they are not changing behaviors, they are not, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਖੋਖਲੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇਕੱਲੇ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? So the Guru Gobind Singh Pasha is ਮੇਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ 30 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜਰਨੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ I am in the conversation because I am in love with her. I'm very aware of what is being written about the Guru and what is being said and spun even in last 2 years. Yes, with the chief ministers in 3 states in last week also. I'm very aware. But I am interested in the dialogue because the scholars of the Gurus, they were not just scholars, they were also the lovers, and they were also the mediators. They were politically astute. They are the ones who went to mediate when Guru was in jail. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਾਲੇ, ਪਿਆਰ ਵਾਲੇ, high aptitude scholars, warriors ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ, who can actually negotiate and create reconciliations. We are waiting reconciliation also 84 ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਵੀ, but ਉਹ ਪਿਆਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੀ ਕਰਨਗੇ।
I'm going to take the last question for the evening. After that, we will break for tea.
Thank you for this beautiful sharing of your thoughts about this wonderful piece of work that you've done. Sir, मेरा एक ही question है, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਤੇ ਟਾਕ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਬੈਂਕਾਕ ਚ, ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਟੱਚ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਇਸ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਨੂੰ, ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫੇਰ ਸਰ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸਮਝਾ ਦਿਓ ਕਿ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ। Thank you.
ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਐਟਮੋਲੋਜੀ ਜੇ ਦੇਖਣੀ ਆ, ਇਟ ਮੀਨਸ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਡਾਰਕਨੈਸ ਤੋਂ ਲਾਈਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦਾ, eliminator of darkness, literally. Go ਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ, go is darkness. That's etymology, ਨਿਰੁਕਤੀ. ਬਟ ਹਰ ਵਰਡ ਕੱਲਾ ਨਿਰੁਕਤੀ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਫਿਰ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਪਰੰਪਰਾ, ਸਕੂਲਸ ਆਫ ਥਾਟਸ ਦੇ ਹੈਡ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਜਿਵੇਂ 6 systems of Hindu philosophy, ਖਟ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਰੈਫਰੈਂਸਿਸ 6 ਘਰ 6 ਗੁਰ 6 ਉਪਦੇਸ਼, they are the acharya schools of India. We should not just say Hinduism. Hinduism is a very vast word which has become political. So ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਚਾਰਯ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਵਰਡ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਗੁਰੂਕੁਲ ਇੱਕ ਪਰੰਪਰਾ which means where you are mentored, ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ word ਗੁਰੂ use ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ। So this is Indology's understanding of Guru. Now coming to in Sikh tradition, in Guru Granth Sahib it says ਭੁੱਲਣ ਅੰਦਰ ਸਭ ਕੋ ਅਬ ਭੁੱਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਰਤਾ, that everyone is fallible except Guru and the Creator. So in Sikh tradition, the word Guru is invoked as this context, that Guru Nanak, the Shabad is infallible, and the Guru taught that infallibility and lived it. So Sikh tradition, which is not just a teacher, it is not just a master, it is not just a prophet, it is all of that and more. It has perfection embodied in the form of Creator whom we otherwise are not able to see. ਇਹ Sikh tradition ਕਿਆ ਹੈ in Guru Granth Sahib. So when we say the word Guru, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ Indology ਵੀ ਨਾਲ ਰੱਖ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, but in ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਲਈ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ we believe this is a perfect thought. Even World War II ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਏਦਾਂ ਹੀ, ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਸਮਟਾਈਮਸ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਬਟ ਦੈਟਸ ਓਕੇ, ਹਰ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ। ਸੋ ਦੈਟਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਟੂ ਰਾਈਟ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਓਪਰਚੁਨਿਟੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਟਾਈਟਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਣ ਕੇ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ is a given name. Go is ਧਰਤੀ, Bind is Viraj, the creative force. So the name is also the universal creative force. ਇਹਨੂੰ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਂਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੂ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈ ਕੀ। ਸਿੰਘ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸੀ in 1675, 76. Some people debate, but I don't like to debate on the year. It's just a reference. When he became the next heir apparent of Sikh tradition, Ummata. So the title of the Guru came. It's a title. Otherwise, Guru is Bani. Every Guru writes that. Guru Gobind Singh was asked, by the way. People were confused. How many forms do you have? Bhai Nandlal asked him. ਤੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਆਨਸਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ, 3 ਰੂਪ ਹੈ ਮੋਹਿ ਕੋਜ਼, ਨਿਰਗੁਣ ਸਰਗੁਣ ਸ਼ਬਦ। ਜੇ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਬੜਾ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਹੈ, ਸੋ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਤੇ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਖੜੇ ਕਰ ਦੇਵੇਗਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਦ ਵਰਡ ਸਿੰਘ ਇਜ਼ ਦੇਅਰ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਆਫ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਆਫ 1699. ਸਿੰਘ word existed, the word kaur existed before too, but what was interesting was, which we are losing again, they were basically said, ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਹੋ। So Guru Gobind Singh also adopted this name after he gave sing and call to, because whatever the females ਦਾ ਵੀ issues ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ, ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੀ ਆ, you know, ਸਿੱਧੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਜੇ ਕਹੀ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵਿਆਹ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰਟੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਡੈਡ ਦੀ, ਤੇ ਵਿਆਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਖਸਮ ਦੀ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਉਹਦੀ ਆ, ਤੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੂੰ ਵੀ। So this is the really creative solutions on things. And then Sahib word is equally important. Sahib means sovereign. ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ 'ਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਹਰੇਕ ਮੇਰੇ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ, ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ, ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸੰਕੋਚੋ। ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ 'ਚੋਂ ਹੀ ਆਇਆ ਇਹ ਵਰਡ। ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮੇਰਾ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੈ। Sovereign is the one you take command from, you choose to, ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਮੰਨਾਂਗਾ, ਉਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ। ਸੋ ਬਸ ਇਹ ਆ, ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬਣ ਗਏ ਸਾਡੇ, because he connected us to that Sahib. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ sovereignty ਮੁਥਾਜੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ, ਅਸੀਂ sovereign ਬਣਨਾ। So Guru Gobind Singh Sahib is the full title which tells us the whole tradition of South Asia which ਇਹ word ਕਿਵੇਂ use ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, and how the Sikhs in their tradition adopted this. This is why we say Guru Sacha Paatshah, ਸਾਡਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ